body work is hard, but let's see if these mechanics from TikTok know what they're doing.
First clip.
Got a big dent we're gonna be taking out today. All right, so we got boiling water right here.
Okay.
One shot.
But that's that's nothing crazy, I think. Like, it just gets popped in and you can pop it out. But sometimes what happens on the corners, they crease, right? And now obviously they have PDR, right?
Of course they have PDR, but if you see how the skin shakes, that's because inner structure wise, there's some welds that are broken because the skin's not supposed to shake that way.
Yeah, the way you saw it flap on the bottom, so it probably doesn't have the support no more. Look at that, like when it pops it up, so it's like jello. Today I brought my guy, Rudy.
I do body work, estimating, work with insurance companies. I'm your guy if you need your car fixed. The old-fashioned way of taking out a dent was always drilling a hole and putting a screwdriver and pulling it out. That's been a very old trick from back in the 70s, 60s. They used to make a lot of holes and they used to just yank them out.
Next clip.
Real quick, you're wearing a green hat.
This donut again, okay? Hi guys, it's me without a hat. They call me Vegeta. Okay. What happened there?
They smashed the bedside.
Obviously, it's an insurance job, right?
Of course. When you have a hit like that and you want to see inner structure damage, you have to cut a hole in it. Because no matter what, you can't fix the outer skin. So you're allowed to cut a hole to see the deepness inside the structural damage. Cars are fabricated in sections. So in an accident, you can replace sections of the vehicle without having to replace a full part.
So say a customer walks in with something like this into the shop, more or less what would this cost?
If you go through your insurance company, there's more processes, can vary anywhere from $2,500 to $5,000.
Somebody walks into the shop with that, I'll be like, look, guess what? It's gonna cost you a pretty penny. Next clip.
Oh, nice, my favorite, square body.
It looks like your square body too, look at that.
Oh, I wish I could peel it like that. Damn.
God, damn, that's thick.
Yep.
Bondo should be used only just for a certain amount. The moisture that goes behind it, it starts cracking away at the Bondo. The body's moving around the whole time, vibration, all that shit, and then the Bondo starts cracking here, cracking there. Then moisture goes in there, and then look at that, that's rust.
Bondo was designed to eliminate waves from a panel, not become the panel. You can make it stronger, like if you fiberglass and then you use a Bondo filler just to get rid of all the waviness of the panel, but it was never designed to become part of the panel. That's why everybody that plasters, it ends up cracking. I mean, it's a quick fix.
If they have access to lead, that's the gangster ass way to do it. Because back in the day, you used to drop some lead and then you have like a cheese grinder.
Yeah.
You'll be decking that bad boy like this, just looking at it sideways, finessing and touching the curves, going with the grain. That's soft. And obviously people said like, oh, it's dangerous. And then back in the day, these fools would like have lead in their hands and smoking a cigarette. It's like lead, cigarettes, bad combination. So if a customer comes in with this rust bucket right here, and you see you go at it with a screwdriver, at one point you take off all the truck. More or less, what does this cost?
Yeah, I would say about $300 to replace that fender. Because it's an older truck now, there's a lot of remake parts. So you can literally replace the parts, have a better finish, and it would be more economic than trying to fix that. That will literally be coming back and back and back into a shop if they try to fix it.
Next clip. The Wolverine went at it or what?
Yeah, snap.
No, this is the big rigs, the wheels, the lug nuts.
It would create a circle.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. It would create a circle.
It's either a truck with an off-road bumper that cuts into that. The door's gone, shot. I wouldn't cut a window because it still looks like it's a repairable panel. So you have to, based on knowledge, make the decision of what you can replace and what you can fix. There's a safety bar that goes across the door. If that safety bar has been hit Per repair standards, you have to replace it. You may think like, oh, I can fix this door, but if that intrusion beam is pushed in a couple inches, you need to replace it because it's a safety issue. When it becomes a safety issue, safety comes first.
So door's gone, quarter panel might be able to repair from this, what I see. True. And then that wheel right there obviously got touched. Suspension work might be needed. That rim, you could take it to a rim repair shop or have it repaired.
I know a good one. Yeah, at Miranda's.
More or less, what would this cost?
It needs a door. Probably the door's about $500. Probably about 5 hours repair on that dog leg. Just depending after an alignment, if it has suspension or not. I would say about $3,500.
Next clip. What is that? Is that?
What are they doing?
Is that lead? Oh yeah. Look at that little piece right there.
Okay.
That's solid. On a Suzuki?
That's a bike. That's a tank for a bike.
It's so cool.
It is. It's art. Who said that?
That's a lot of f***ing lead though.
Yeah. But it's because it's a fuel tank for a bike.
Yeah, you can pop that up. You know, you can pop it up and put a little baby lead.
It just depends. If it has a big gash, probably that's why they're using so much.
Wait. Ah, there you go. There you go. That was a pro. See, that's your first PDR right there. Well, paintless dent removal. No, it's not because then the paint's gonna be burned. But more or less. That's where you got. They got the idea from.
Yeah.
You know, they got the idea. I remember when they started with the PDR, and you would put the hot glue, the paint would come off with it. And you're like, well, that didn't work the way I thought it was gonna work. You know.
That's why it's always good to let the customer know that if you rip off the paint, it's not gonna be covered.
It's trial and error, you know?
Of course. It only happens once.
It's trial and error. Like, you gotta put all these disclosures on the customer.
I know.
Let me sure, like, we're gonna try to fix it. But if your paint falls off, like when you do fender rolls and the paint's already cracked, you gotta tell the customer, this paint's gonna chip off more. Even though you heat it up, the proper way is to heat up a fender and then you start rolling it. Because once it's cold, the paint picks up, it cracks.
Of course.
So when you heat it up, it flexes, it goes with it, right?
Yeah.
I've not told the customer and I'm over here rolling the fender or they don't tell me that it has Bondo and guess what? Whole piece flops off. And then the customer's looking at me like, and I'm looking at the customer like, who's gonna say like, it's cool or I'm paying for it? You know? We're both looking at each other like this. And then at one point we're just staring dead at each other, like almost like face to face. And he's like, so happens. I'm like, yeah, you know, it's like, it's these old cars, you know, like, so, but that's cool. I like the lead work.
They packed it. They're like,
so we never
this ain't going anywhere.
We never done this, so there's no way I could give you a price. But if I would price that out, I'd be like, probably like $600.
You kind of beat me. I would say $550. Just trying to be so expensive.
$575. We have a thing that Rudy, when we tell Rudy, come outside and give a customer a price, right? So Rudy wears these glasses, his glasses. Sometimes his prices are kind of crazy. So we have to be like, hey, Rudy, like, you know, there's a point where like the car comes in and it's a Camry, right? And the guy goes like, hey, I want to paint this Camry. Don't get me wrong, his expectations of a badass paint job are like up there, right? So you can't tell the customer, hey, this is gonna be AGs, because he's gonna look at you like, this is a $1,000 Camry. You wanna drop AGs? Like, you know, so we tell Rudy, take off your glasses and give him the price without the glasses, you know? And he goes like, oh yeah, that's gonna be like $1,500 or $1,000. Oh, now put your glasses back on, and Rudy sees the car all crumbled up and almost disassembled, and he's like, that's an $8,000 job.
We call it the Superman effect.
So, Clark Kent, do us a favor on this one, put your glasses back on. So on this next clip, this guy's trying to do some body work for the first time. So we're gonna judge, criticize his see if he's getting down or he's wrong. Okay, he's grinding it. Rust. But
What?
nice.
Nice. Look at that body line.
What body line?
Where it's supposed to round off.
Oh, come on.
Look at that.
Oh, shit. That fool went in deep. Wait. The picture on top is the finished product?
Yeah.
Did he Photoshop that shit? It looks better.
Yeah, it does.
You would get me on that. I would pull up to your shop, but like, fix my shit. For a first timer, he did pretty good.
He probably wasted more material than what it would cost him to get a fender.
That's actually true. Sometimes like, you're trying to repair something and it costs more.
It costs more than just going ahead and replacing it.
You could have bought the fender for like
$89.
like at the junkyard for like $60 for giving it a shot. Not bad.
What advice would you give this guy?
They have blocks that flex now, so you could grab it and give it that curve, because right there you're just going straight and you feel like you're doing a good job, but you're leaving a slope or you're leaving like a lump. So usually if you get something, curve it or curve a piece of wood, and then that's how you do it. And don't use a lot of Bondo. If you want to practice, get another piece of fender that's almost the same thickness and grab it, cut a piece off of it, tack it in there slowly, and then when you do the body work, it'll flow a lot better than just Bondo and cake, you know? Next clip.
That wasn't supposed to happen.
He broke his, the PDR tool, right?
He's working on a rear body. That's a structural piece. That has 3 sheets of metal behind it. He's gonna break it.
It's not gonna flex.
It's not gonna flex. It's kind of like fighting the Hulk.
Yeah, Iron Man f***s him up once in a while, you know?
Yeah, but
f*** him up too.
And sometimes they lose. That's just the way it is, as we can see.
It depends what universe you're in, you know? MCU, baby. Yes, what you're saying, there's some points where it's really difficult to move, but these glues have gotten better throughout the years. There's like, for something more solid, something more softer, so forth and so on, right?
Kind of like basic Sandro, super size Sandro,
yeah.
Extreme,
and Supreme.
And Supreme.
There you go,
Okay,
Supreme Sandro.
got it.
I would want to see him finish that. And if anybody in the comment leaves it, that he did it right, I mean, lay it on there. Because he doesn't believe it. I kind of do believe it because I believe in everything. Next clip.
This rear quarter panel is severely dented in. In order for us to fix it properly, we need to hit it from behind. We need to remove the wheel and the wheel liner.
Does that remind you of something from yesterday?
Don't stop.
Now we need to remove this fender liner to properly get behind this body panel. Yeah. You can get this hammer and dolly set that comes with a bunch of these for about $50 at Harbor Freight. And essentially what it is a hammer and a dolly. So as you can see here, this is a flat surface. We're going to put this on the surface of the car, and then we're going to go from behind and hit it flat. As we hit this from the inside, I'm going to pinch where that area is bent and hopefully straighten out the middle. Yeah, hit me, Daddy. Hit me. If we hit the metal too far this way, all we have to do on the other surface is hit it nice and flat back.
I wonder if he works at Miranda's too.
Lightning.
I like that guy.
Beating on the metal from behind for a long time, we have finally arrived where this card fits flat against our sheet metal.
That is so funny because you know you lose your mind when you're over there working by yourself. You talk.
I know.
You talk to this card.
Yeah.
That panel becomes your friend at one point. You're over there hitting and you're like, just work with me, please. And then at one point you even hear the panel go like, nah, that.
I'm not loosening up.
I'm not loosening it up. No. Would you blend it or would you paint the whole thing?
Are you asking me with glasses or without glasses?
Ooh, that's a real good question. You know what? Just entertain people with and without glasses. I want to see what you would estimate the customer.
With glasses, I would blend it because it is close to the door. Mm-hmm. Without glasses, it's black. You can sometimes get away with a solid black color. Same thing with white.
Price-wise, Superman and Clark Kent.
Clark Kent would have to be probably about $1,500.
Superman?
$200.
Yeah, he's lowballing today. Sure, next clip.
So right here, we have this pretty poor repair where they pulled out the door. Again, this is why when you buy a car, you have someone come inspect it. Look at how thick the paint is. And I'll show you the roof as comparison. So because it was pulled and improperly repaired, it is now rusting. So now the door it's probably gonna have to get replaced. Also, we got really poor runs in the paint up here. If you can see that right there. So this is why you hire a consultant before you buy a car. So that way you don't have this issue.
Don't take this as an insult.
Are you talking to me?
Look, if you're gonna go buy a $2,000 car If you show up with this guy and that tool, I would tell you to off. I'd be like, what the are you doing, dog? Like, you're trying to check how deep the paint was or where there's more bondo, where's this? I'm like, you shoot me the 2 G's and get the out of here. But if you're buying like a Ferrari, yes, show up with me, Rudy, Michael, the film crew, make a video out of it. I get it. You're gonna drop like about 100 racks or $500,000. But if you're gonna go buy a $5,000 car and you pull up with this shit, I'll be like, oh my God, dude. Like,
you're like, keep your money.
It's a fucking project car, dude. You want to see how thick the metal is, how thick the paint is. Don't get me wrong. I've never used this tool. I've never used it.
I have.
I know that you study for all this shit. So it's like, obviously you have, but if you would show up the way you look and your Raptor, and obviously that tool, I will close the door and leave.
Sometimes in our process, we want to know how thick the paint is when we're repairing a panel. Eventually, when you're prepping a vehicle, the thickness comes in effect when you have to feather edge the paint. So if it's extremely thick, then you have to go farther out. So it vanishes that thickness. Because when you're repairing a panel, you're grinding down to the metal and you're repairing it. So it leaves a groove. If it's thick, it's like a wall. So you go up a little bit and it's not gonna do anything. You have to vanish it until there's no edge.
Next clip.
If you've sideswiped anything in your car, do this before you take it to a paint shop to save yourself thousands of dollars. Get yourself some sort of polishing compound. Here I use turtle wax. Next, fold your rag into more of a ball shape. This gives you a more firm grasp on it so you can apply more pressure to the paint. Usually damage can look way worse than it really is, and especially depending on the type of damage, you may not have actually scratched your own paint and maybe paint from the other vehicle or object. This Mercedes sideswiped the side of the garage on its way out. I wasn't sure exactly how bad the damage was, but I thought I'd give this a try just to see what would come off and see what damage was actually done to the car. Fortunately, there were no cracks or dents into the actual car, which made this repair look a lot better at the end. Results will definitely vary depending on how deep the scratches are into the paint and whose paint actually got removed from which car or object.
If it's surface scratches, you can always wet sand it and polish it out, and they'll come out, and you'll save the customer quite a bit of money in repainting the part.
So let's just say a customer has a little incident. Should they go and buy their little wax and give it a shot or what?
Well, before you waste your money, if as a consumer you want to find out if it's repairable, if it's worth it, it's very easy. We're not going to rub on the car. I know you like rubbing on cars. But if you grab the edge of your nail and you just pass it from the area of damage, if you feel it with your nail, that means it broke the clear. Don't waste your money. You're gonna have to go to a collision center. If you pass your nail and you don't feel it, there's a high percentage that it will polish out.
So guys, if you guys like what you guys watch, click here, somewhere there. Rudy, thanks for coming through and being a professional with glasses or without glasses. We'll take care of you guys. Deuces.
Deuce.